Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking the oddly satisfying and, honestly, sometimes a little stomach-turning science behind transforming abandoned pitch-black swamps back into crystal-clear swimmable pools. We're going to be looking really closely at the specific techniques and the serious hard work demonstrated by a cleaning pro known as the Pool Guy ML. By breaking down his extreme recovery jobs, we're going to learn exactly how you bring a totally dead body of water right back to life. All right, let's dive into this. So what actually happens when a pool sits abandoned for months? Well, let me tell you, it doesn't just get a little cloudy. Imagine walking into a backyard in the dead of August, peeling back that heavy pool cover and finding the water is literally pitch black. We are talking about entire ecosystems of grossness here. You've got these thick, slimy blankets of algae just floating on top, and the second that cover moves, boom, mosquitoes start swarming absolutely everywhere. It's a completely overwhelming sensory experience, and frankly, it's the daunting reality these pool professionals face right out of the gate. Phase 1, welcome to the swamp. Because, before any actual cleaning can even happen, you have to fully grasp the absolute chaos of the environment you're walking into. You really just never know what you're going to get. Like our professional pool guy recently walked up to a spot maintenance job, took one look, and just sighed, saying, "Looks like they've had a party last night. Spa is looking a bit rank." And that just perfectly hits the nail on the head regarding how unpredictable this line of work is. You aren't always just dealing with Mother Nature taking over. Sometimes you're walking into totally human-made disasters that need an immediate, full-scale intervention. Before a single tool comes out, you've got to make a proper assessment because the damage comes in so many different flavors. You've got your standard green water where the algae is just cemented to the tiles. Then you step up to those pitch black swamps where nature has completely moved in. We're talking literal newts swimming around in the muck that actually need to be rescued. Then there are those rank post-party hot tubs we just talked about. And you even have neglected indoor pools that are half empty but totally coated in this thick mystery floor grime. And here's the thing, every single one of these scenarios demands a completely different method of attack. Phase 2, chemical warfare. This is where we break down the specific chemistry and industry jargon that does all the heavy lifting against the grime, long before the real physical labor even begins. Okay, in the pool recovery world, there's this absolutely vital tactic known as shock. To shock a pool essentially means delivering a massive, heavy dose of chlorine or other chemicals to rapidly kill off algae and bacteria. This is your critical first strike. Our pro literally sprinkles this all around the perimeter, just dumping it straight into the water to immediately attack that thick green blanket sitting on the surface. It's a pretty violent chemical reaction, but it's completely designed to stop biological growth right in its tracks. Now, working in perfect tandem with that first strike is a brilliant tool called Flock. This is a flocculant chemical, which can be either liquid or granular. Its one and only job is to take all those tiny, microscopic, dead particles of algae you just nuked with the shock, clump them all together into larger masses, and basically force them to sink right to the bottom. It's the ultimate 1-2 punch. The shock kills the mess, and the flock completely clears the water column above by driving all that nasty debris straight down to the floor. So the chemical strike plan is this really rigid 4-step operation. Step 1, you add the shock. Step 2, you sprinkle in the flock. But step 3 is where the elbow grease comes in. You have to vigorously brush the entire surface. You really have to disturb that algae right off the tiles, brushing the walls and the steps so those chemicals can actually penetrate and reach the organic matter. Once everything is loose and reacting, you hit step 4. You literally just walk away and wait for all that debris to sink. 24, honestly, that is often all the time it takes. In less than 24 hours, the pool will go from this opaque, disgusting green swamp to remarkably clear water. It's wild. The chemicals do their job so incredibly fast, dropping the leaves, the dirt, and the dead algae straight down to the bottom, beautifully setting the stage for our next phase. But, what happens when the algae is just way too thick, or the bottom is coated in this heavy dirt that chemicals alone simply can't fix? That brings us to phase 3, the acid wash alternative. Because sometimes chemical warfare just isn't quite enough. When faced with a total disaster of a pool, professionals basically have a fork in the road. Treating and vacuuming versus draining and acid washing. If you've got a pool where the algae is heavily stuck to the surface like a shag carpet, or maybe a neglected indoor pool with this toxic-looking floor sludge, trying to treat the water is just a massive waste of time. You have to completely drain the pool with a submersible pump and attack those walls directly.
And let me tell you, this manual labor process is intense. Step 1. You stick a submersible pump right in there, hook up an extension lead, and drain all that nasty water right out. Step 2. Time to put on the wellies, get down into that empty pool, and physically scoop up the large, truly terrible smelling sludge with a bucket and chuck it out. Then comes step 3, which is the most aggressive part. You fill a bucket with hydrochloric acid and manually scrub all the walls and floors. This acid literally melts away the toughest, smelliest stains from those empty pool tiles. Finally, step 4, you use a special pump, something like a dolphin pump, to suck out the remaining toxic slurry at the bottom before you finally refill the pool with a clean hose. It is absolutely brutal work, but man, is it incredibly effective.
Now, whether the pool was chemically treated or fully acid washed, we eventually arrive at everybody's favorite part. Phase 4, the satisfying final clean. This is the resolution phase, that visual payoff where all that chaos finally turns back into a backyard oasis. For chemically treated pools, the absolutely most satisfying step is the hoovering phase. Remember all that debris the flock forced down to the bottom? Well, now the water above it is completely clear, revealing this thick carpet of dead leaves and algae just sitting there. The pro primes the pump, gets the vacs out, and methodically hoovers the floor. And watching those sunken piles of green and brown get completely sucked up through the vacuum, leaving just a pristine pool floor behind, it is deeply, deeply rewarding to watch. But hey, it's not just about vacuuming. To truly finish a job, there's a really meticulous checklist of finishing touches. You're taking the net out to catch those last few pieces of floating debris and emptying out the skimmer basket. For spas, it means pulling out those small cartridge filters, using a dedicated cartridge cleaner, and thoroughly rinsing them down. You've got to test the water and balance out any low pH levels. You're adding chlorine granules, or maybe chucking some bromine tablets into a floating dispenser, just to keep that water safe. And absolutely crucially, you have to turn the pump on to backwash and rinse the main filter, clearing out all the absolute gunk the system just swallowed up. Only when the chemistry and the equipment are perfectly balanced is the job truly, officially done. And once that water is finally pristine, you might just hear, "Holla at your boy for the pool work." That right there is the pool guy's signature sign-off. It is a hard-earned phrase that's spoken only after a pool has been fully transformed from an absolute swamp back into a gorgeous swimmable asset. It's essentially a stamp of completion on a job that requires serious chemistry, really heavy labor, and honestly, a remarkably strong stomach. So here's a question for you. The next time you dive into a crystal clear pool, will you find yourself wondering what it looked like yesterday? It's really easy for us to take clean water for granted, but as we've seen today, just beneath the surface of that sparkling oasis is a totally fascinating science of extreme recovery, tactical chemical strikes, and rigorous hard work. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, keep your curiosity as clear as a freshly hoovered pool.